So Brandon Aiyuk is in the headlines yet again, making a video recently about the 49ers, calling him out. Reading this article here from Sports Illustrated, he goes on to say, quote, "You want to know why they're really mad though? They're mad because they're stupid. They're dumb. They're mad they paid $50 million in 8 months and then voided my guarantees in 2027, and I'm about to be on a new team in 2027. They're mad at themselves for real. They're acting like they're mad at me, but they stupid mad at themselves, unquote." And this is yet again another chapter in this saga of the rift between Aiyuk and the 49ers. You can go all the way back to even before he got the contract in 2023, how he acted trying to get the contract, sitting out, and just you saw the rift, maybe the cracks early on for that. He gets a contract at the time, big deal, 4 years, $120 million, averages out to $30 million per year. What does he do the upcoming season in 2024? Not much. He only played 7 games. He got hurt, of course, with the season-ending injury, and we have yet to see him back on the field. But in that season, 25 receptions, 374, 0 touchdowns, and struggled throughout those weeks, big drops and so forth, and was not the player he was as opposed to 2023 when he had a great year, 75 receptions, over 1,300 yards receiving, 7 touchdowns, and was warranted with that contract, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, going back to even to 2022. He had his breakout season in 23. Again, I don't like how he acted and how he handled things to get that contract, and there was, of course, reports about him maybe getting traded to New England, and he axed that and got the big deal here in San Francisco, and it has not worked out since then. Again, only 7 games in 24, did not play a single game in 25, and we don't know what's going to happen in 2026. And now, again, this one thing about this video here, taking shots yet again in San Francisco, is just one thing of the many others that he has done throughout the process, throughout the last few years, it feels like. And I feel like it comes to a time where, for the 49ers, does he have value still? Is he still a good wide receiver? Yes, I'm sure he has some value, maybe not as much now because of how he's acted and so forth, and the injuries and how you want to spin it as. I'm sure he still has talent. Yes, maybe it's again for the value, maybe a mid to late first round pick, or maybe looking at a first round pick, mid to late pick, or maybe more so a late pick. Can he still play? I'm sure he can. But at one point, do we look at this and go, for the 49ers perspective, enough's enough, we have to move on? As good as he is, maybe we still feel like he's a good wide receiver. Maybe we can get something for him. I feel like we have to send the message and say, you know what? We got to cut ties from him, and whatever happens, it is what it is. If he goes and balls out somewhere else, if it's Washington that supposedly he wants to go to, or another team that matter, I don't know who else is really linked to him besides Washington I always hear about. Wherever he wants to go to, let him ball out there, let him play well. We'll deal with our own team. And then if he acts out there, it's just more of a bad look on him, and he loses the rest of the chances in the league. And I feel like he's already, how he's acting, even though he wants to be out of San Francisco, he's not handling it the right way. And it's a bad look for, certainly himself, but other teams looking at it and go, why do we want to bring the distraction here? Why do we want to bring this diva in here? What if we bring him here? Let's say it's Washington, like I just mentioned. It's like once it's the Commanders that want to bring another wide receiver for Jane Daniels, and maybe things aren't going his way. Is he going to start lashing out at us? Maybe he's not doing everything that we want him to. Maybe he's not showing up to all the practices or meetings. Is he going to start lashing out at us? Is he going to start, not showing? Is he going to go on, whatever he goes on, IG, whatever it is, Twitter, bashes us, do whatever? Is he going to be a problem here as well, like it is in San Francisco? I mean, that's the things that teams look at. And for Aiyuk, even if there's things that he is maybe justifying saying that he feels in the background that we don't see that he was done wrong in whatever the rehab process, whatever the case may be, and he feels disrespected, this is not the way to do it. And he's making a fool of himself on full display. Now, getting to the contract here, his cap hit is $13.66 million for the 2026 season. He does have a potential out in 27, which, if he's still on San Francisco, that will certainly be exercised after the season, with a $21.2 million dead cap hit. At that point, right now, the dead cap hit is 33.5, but we get into the post-June 1st, I am reading this correctly, post-June 1st and trade is the exact same for the dead cap spot here at 12.35 million. It shows on here, and the savings is 1.3 million. Again, if I'm reading that right correctly, but actually, so my apologies. Looking at the wrong thing here. Actually, no, I am looking at post June 1st. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up for pre and post. So the pre is the 33.5 million, and that would have been a negative 19 million. But now, now I got it right now. Post June 1st and trade, yes, the savings will be 1.3 million for either way, and the numbers match up perfectly for a trade or release here. So when you look at that, do you want to get something at least in return for Aiyuk? Sure, even if it's a late pick, it's better than nothing. But at some point here, I just don't know how much more they drag this out for this distraction for not just themselves, for the GM and so forth, but just the team in general. How do the players feel? How's the locker room feel about it? I mean, it's things like that where there's already other things going on there. We have the bad luck with the injuries and so forth with San Francisco and many other things. I don't think the Brandon Aiyuk's debacle and story should be another thing that should be on the plate of the 49ers. So for me, I look at this from the perspective of, you know what, again, even if if you want that mindset, you want to get something. I feel like at this point, you gotta make that known, set the tone and say, you know what, we're done with this. We're moving on from Aiyuk. And whatever happens with him afterwards, it is what it is. If it's Washington or whoever, we have to move on. Because when I look at the roster so far, they're okay. If Aiyuk, for whatever reason, doesn't want to play in 2026, how that plays out for that? I don't know if they'll be giving him fines and trying to make him play in 26, whatever the case may be. Let's say if he wants to set out again in 26, how that turns out. They have Mike Evans, Ricky Purcell, Christian Kirk, Demarcus Robinson, and Jordan Watkins too on the depth charts here. But looking at the big three, at least for Evans, Purcell, and Kirk, of course you have George Kittle, you have Kyle Juszczyk, Christian McCaffrey as well, too, on top of that. You have more enough players to get by for Brock Purdy. You have more enough players to be productive and still be one of the top teams in the NFC in that division. You don't need Brandon Aiyuk. Would you love to somehow they can rekindle that relationship and try and smooth things out? I don't think it's impossible, but they can somehow do that. Would it help to have a guy like that on the starting side for the wide receiver? Absolutely. To me, you could say from a talent standpoint, he is the best wide receiver. Now, you can maybe argue Mike Evans, but because again, age and so forth, slowing down a little bit, Aiyuk is still the best wide receiver at that position, at least. Again, not looking at other ones like I said, McCaffrey or Kittle and so forth, strictly a wide receiver. Brandon Aiyuk, as a talent standpoint, is the best wide receiver still. But at some point in time, again, they would love to have you, no question about that, but they don't have to need you. I should say they would like to have you, but they don't need you, is a better way I should phrase it as. They can get by with Mike Evans, Purcell, and Kirk and figure things out with that Kyle Shanahan offense. Again, without even looking at the other positions, the skill positions too on top of that for Brock Purdy. They don't need you. You're not in a position where the team is desperate at wide receiver and you can try and leverage it somehow. You don't. The 49ers will be just fine. They'll figure things out without you, like they did in 2025, which wasn't a perfect season. They did make the postseason though. Certainly not play well against Seattle in the playoffs when it came to that point, but they got by. They won a playoff game against Philadelphia. They moved on to Seattle in the division round. Didn't really turn out too great, but they won a playoff game without you. Was it before the year prior to that, or 2 years prior to that, I should say, where they made the Super Bowl in your career year? No, not to the lengths of that, but they will get by. They will figure things out. They don't need you. And this is a point where, again, I think they should set the tone and just get rid of them. And it is what it is at that point there, too. And whether it's the only team I keep saying over and over again is Washington, because that's all I keep seeing about on social media is just the Commanders. But do the Commanders want him? I don't know. From their perspective, Aiyuk seems like he wants to go there, but do they want Aiyuk? That's a bigger question for that, too. But again, to me, I'm just so sick of the Aiyuk situation and the constant distractions and the lash outs that he does, because it's just old. This is going back to what I said in the beginning. Prior to 2023, how he acted to try and get that contract, it just showed you the foreshadowing, the cracks moving forward. And then the injury soon did not help his case there. And we're at this point here of where we are in 2026. So we'll see how it plays out for the upcoming weeks or months, however it is here. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be on the roster for 2026 for San Francisco, if they're just going to keep him on there and then get rid of him the year after, if they're going to hold on to him to get some trade value, or whatever the case may be. We'll see how it plays out there, but just want to make a quick video on my thoughts on there too. Just frustrating all around. It sucks to see a guy that is talented as Aiyuk acting this way. It is. Do we know the full story? Do we know what happens behind the scenes? No. But what we see as fans, the limited things that we do see in the public eye, it's not good for how Aiyuk is acting and how he's handling things. It's horrible what he's doing. It's a bad look. No question about that. So we'll see. Let me know your thoughts down below on the Aiyuk situation. Do you think they're going to release him soon, try and trade him? And if he is on the offense, or maybe if, is he going to play in 2026 for San Francisco? I should say that first and foremost. Is he going to play with San Francisco in 2026, or after that too, if they're going to trade him, release him, and if he is off the roster, where else is he going to go to? Let me know your thoughts down below on the situation. But yet again, another story in the Aiyuk saga.